Well, I'll go ahead and kick off. I think we're about at the top of the hour. Good afternoon, and welcome to the last afternoon of SAPPHIRE. How's everybody feeling? Like the last afternoon of SAPPHIRE? Well, I've changed into my fancy shoes for this presentation, so it's going to be darn good. So I'm Carol McKenzie. It's a pleasure to be with you guys this afternoon in this 20-minute session. Is that right? Good. I lead the life sciences group here, the industry business unit as we call it at SAP, which means we're the people that get up every day and in SAP and worry about where the industry is going. We come out of the industry and it's our responsibility to deliver the portfolio to our life sciences clients. Life sciences from an SAP perspective means pharmaceuticals, biosimilars, and medical device. The provider side is on our healthcare colleague side of the house, but just to level set, that's kind of the scope that we're talking about. And it's really a pleasure for me to be here and present this afternoon with my colleague Brian from itelligence, who's a very important partner in the life science space for us at SAP, coupled with, of course, AWS, who's revolutionizing the way a lot of these solutions are delivered to the market. So I have 14 years of history with SAP. I come out of food and beverage manufacturing by the way of my personal career. But I just wanted to level set with a few kind of topical thoughts on the industry as a whole, just to level set how we're viewing the industry. We also have, of course, an SAP industry demo station, should you want more information on any of our solutions or what we're doing from a go-to-market perspective. Then Brian will talk a little bit more specifically about what we're doing from a life science perspective. And really the focus of this afternoon's presentation, not exclusively, but we really wanted to highlight the mid-market opportunity, as we call it, from a life science perspective, and how we're seeing a lot of interest on companies probably under 5 billion in annual revenues or so in the life science space, and how the market is really evolving, and thus we're responding to with a different sense of urgency, in particular to this market sector. So where do we see that the industry is going from a topical perspective? There are three key trends that we're very focused on based on what our customers are directing us to. First, of course, is the age of the empowered patient. You know, much like the consumerization of retail and the power that we as shoppers pushed on the retail industry, that's happening for us as consumers of healthcare, right? Each of us is a patient. Each of us is in control of our patient data. And arguably, that's becoming more and more the currency of this industry and transforming what manufacturers can do in different ways. So the personalization aspect of that is only going to continue to move into more outcome-based engagements, either based on the performance of the therapy or the drug itself, and basically increasingly put the patient/customer in the driver's seat. We see the advent of big data hugely transformational to this area. Admittedly, most companies have spent a lot in big data for the last 10 years or so. Now, what do you do with all of that? How do you leverage a better, more outcome-based health network, leveraging all those data insights that you likely have and can't bring together in meaningful, insightful ways? And then finally, this is a very heavily regulatory-driven industry, as we all are aware. That's not going to change. But the ways that the regulations are going to impact us is going to continue to change. Most notably, for example, anonymized patient information shortening clinical trials, right? And regulations that are helping push new drugs through the development funnel even faster to the benefit of health as a whole across the world. So we see these trends transforming the industry priorities, not hugely, but I would say the patient engagement and centricity is hugely making a difference. New ways to collaborate as an ecosystem and going beyond maybe traditional CMO, CRO relationships, and continued focus on improvements in the digital supply chain and the manufacturing arenas. So, if you haven't heard enough about this over the 3 days, I'm going to give it to you again. The intelligent enterprise is really the new way that we're bringing together the extended portfolio for our life science customers. Today we have about 4,000 life science customers from an SAP perspective, And admittedly, a lot of them grew up through ECC, traditional ECC or the Intelligence Suite. Now obviously moving towards S4HANA. We currently have about 230 customers that have purchased S4HANA, and 127 are live globally. So the adoption with 80 of those that have moved in the last year. So the adoption is really taking off. Of course, the supporting other solutions such as SuccessFactors, the Customer Engagement Suite, Ariba, and so forth complete the Intelligence Suite. The digital platform is at the core underpinning all of that. So how do you leverage the data that you have and basically leave it where it is now? You don't need to bring the data to you. You can leverage the data where it is and still get the insights out of where it's housed. Of course, the SAP Cloud Platform is the heart and soul of our integration strategy within our own suite and for you to the external world, third-party solutions. But finally, and the newest advent to our portfolio is the intelligent technologies. Things like machine learning, RPA, and blockchain, right? So SAP's strategy in this area is to embed these technologies right into the digital suite, right? And we see the advent of this, things like serialization via blockchain that we have an offering we brought to market the end of last year for the patient safety, the drug safety regulations that are kicking in the US later this year. There are about 20 machine learning applications for life science that are embedded into the solution as well. That's another one of the best kept secrets, so we're just trying to do a better job to get the word out. And admittedly, a lot of them came from more of the horizontal functions such as finance, like cash application, resume matching for human resource management. But we're seeing a lot more interest in advanced things like clinical trials and such that can take these new processes and basically improve the value and drive down the manual labor that's required behind them. So the intelligent enterprise is what we're all about and what we'll continue to flesh out in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brian to talk a little bit more about life sciences, complementary view of the sector, and exactly what we have here within the context of the AWS offering.
Great,
Brian?
Thanks very much, Carol, and it is a pleasure and a privilege to work with you at SAP and also with the AWS folks to bring forth a solution here that we'll just talk about here in a couple minutes. But as a person that works at Itelligence and part of the NTT Data family of companies, it is really a privilege to be able to bring forth some solution to the marketplace and to be able to wake up and activate and enable the capabilities of what the SAP platform provides from a technological perspective and bringing that to life with the end user and the people of the organizations, corporations that are out there that have the SAP software package or are going to be looking forward to implementing that SAP software platform. And when you look at the discussions and the conversations and the trends that Carol has been looking at and seeing and we've been talking about and socializing, we need to be able to take that concepts and take those ideas and be able to provide that in a solution. So when you look at this list here, you're wanting to get and have a solution that has a foundation to get into dealing with those aspects of customer centricity, dealing with the issues of how do we handle big data, and oh, by the way, how do we continue to evolve as we go through the specific compliances. In order to do that, we have to put together a solution and have that foundation as you grow. So these are just some of the specific concepts that you can see that we put as a requirement into what we'll call a pre-configured, pre-delivered solution foundation for the market space. So when you get into service management and sales and service, you've got to be able to do that in a way to enable to get the customer preferences consumed and be able to provide your tailored product offering toward that consumer through sales and service. You also need to be able to adapt and adopt to the specific requirements and then bring that information into in a manufacturing context. So you have to have manufacturing operational processes that are able to be waken up into the process and to be able to be personalized, not developed from scratch, bringing in some of the aspects of that. And by the way, you've got to do that with good manufacturing practices in place and process. You've seen the whole requirements in anything out there virtually of being able to track and trace processing of of content. We've talked a lot about this at the show with experience management and the like, and about bringing in experiential data, but we also have to track information about the product offering as well, and marrying that up into that experiential layer. And then finally, it's all about quality and making sure that we're continuing delivering quality products, making sure that we have the track and trace, and that really provides the foundation for a holistic solution to move forward. So we worked with SAP and we went to AWS on how to be able to do this, and what we are really pleased to announce today is a partner managed cloud solution that is powered by SAP, okay, hosted by AWS, and I'll add one thing that I should have added to the slide, enabled by itelligence. And that's really, really important. When you look at that whole bundled package offering, we are offering something very, very special into the marketplace that can allow a company to grow as you go, moving ahead in your life cycle and your journey wherever it might be at. So we start off with a subscriptive offering on a baseline from AWS, and AWS and the richness of their customer base and their experiences in the industry really provide a rock solid foundation and a reliable one. Another thing that was mentioned a lot in this show was the whole notion of trust. Why not trust somebody like AWS who has millions of customers out there that are doing exactly the same thing as you will be doing? On top of that, we bring in the SAP life sciences content and constructs, a lot of what Carol talked about at the very beginning, to be able to handle those customer centricities, to be able to handle the big data, all those sorts of good things. And then what we do at itelligence is we enable all of that standard functionality, and then we bring in our own specific processes to layer in and to bring in specific developments that we've seen in the industry through our 30 years of experience. So that way you get a holistic package with a lot of involvement, a lot of research and development that basically puts that into a platform that is a private cloud platform and that is able to be rolled out in a very aggressive fashion. So there you have it, folks. That is what we have here. If you look at it, really what is that all comprised of? Again, it's industry related know-how packed into a single package that you can be able to grow that. We have various different sizes of pre-packaged offerings that you can put on the platform. So we call them t-shirt sized offerings. So we realize that some people want to start out small and maybe it's a small startup company. Well, we have a t-shirt size for that will be able to get you enabled quickly to be able to start realizing the richness and value of SAP. And then as your business grows, as you go and grow the product line, as you get product approvals, then you grow the functionality in the system as you need it, when you need it. Okay. Secondly, we get into the whole scalable platform, and really that whole platform on an architectural perspective can grow. So you don't need to worry about how much resources, how much compute, how much processing time that you're going to need. That is all taken care of for you. We also have validation involved in there. We realize from a compliance perspective that you have to deal with the whole notions of CFR and FDA compliance processes, and we are going to need to do that, and we are enabling that through this specific package. And then finally, it comes down to experience. We want to share our experiences with you, SAP alongside us, all of our collective experiences, and that really continually develops and improves the product as we go. So that's really, really important and what we wanted to talk about today. So, we've come a long way together, and as I think about this week and looking at it, and I think back, believe it or not, Monday marked the 70-year mark of the first computing storage device. And what it did was it was able to calculate squares of numbers from 0 to 99. Imagine that, 70 years, we've come a far way. And that you look at that and look where we're at now and all the magnificent things we can do. I only can say it's going to be a great journey forward for us in the next 5-10 years ahead. And we really look forward to help being enabling as part of the journey, and look forward to continuing the discussion whenever you would like. So please don't hesitate to contact or reach myself and or Ted Tavrides, who's here in the audience today. Be happy to talk to you now, right after this meeting, or we can meet you at our NTT booth number 421, and we'll be able to be really happy to carry on the conversation with you. So, Carol, thank you very much for sharing the stage with me. We can answer any specific questions that you have at this point in time, and before you go, and if you don't yet, we have a raffle to give away here, so we'll also do that. Any questions, though, while we get transitioned over to the raffle? Anything? None. Okay, well, hopefully you come over and visit us later, and we'll look forward